Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Supper Club Live. I'm Colleen Hiscock. I'm the owner and chef at Java Jack's in beautiful Rocky Harbour, Newfoundland and Labrador. And this evening, you're joining me for Supper Club Live, and I'm at the Postmaster's House Bed and Breakfast here in St. John's, Newfoundland. And this is a glorious kitchen. For those of you who are joining, I'll share a little bit about the Postmaster's House. But for those of you joining for the first time, appreciate you joining. Certainly, what we will do in this next hour is we're going to make ourselves a couple of dishes. Tonight, we're going to do chicken piccata, and we are going to make a cruciferous veggie bake. You say, okay, what's cruciferous? Well, we'll get into that. Essentially, some wonderful green vegetables. We're going to put them together, usual vegetables made in a very unusual way, and it tastes absolutely great. So after the course of an hour and cooking together, we will have ourselves supper for ourselves and our family. For those of you joining again, so great to have you back. This is wonderful. I'm here with the Postmaster's hosts, Mark Murphy and Eldon Murray, who are setting up here at the Postmaster's Postmaster House, actually here at 20 Gower Street. And it was originally owned by a fellow by the name of William Whiteley. Now, William Whiteley was, and why we've called it why they have called it the Postmasters. William Whiteley was the postmaster in a town in Labrador, and this was his particular home. He on the coast of Labrador in a place called Bonespérance. And before Mark and Ellen took this over, it actually was called the Bonespérance Bed and Breakfast. But William Whiteley used to travel in the summertime to the south coast of Newfoundland and Bonespérance, and he was the postmaster there. He did a bunch of other jobs as well, as you can imagine. In a small community, postmaster may not be, overly busy, but his claim to fame is that he was the inventor of the cod trap. And we don't use the cod trap anymore, and we're most interested in the postmaster element. So anyway, that's enough about the Postmasters. It's a beautiful kitchen here that I get to work in today, and so pleased to be here. So what are you going to need today? Chicken piccata. Super simple. You'll make it in an instant. It actually take you 10 minutes to make it. Great for your family. Chicken breasts, tender, lovely, tasty, something you'll never have had before. What we're going to use is we're going to use a frying pan, so you can get some of your things ready while we're waiting for a few folks to come up there. So a nice frying pan, a little bit deep if you have one. Non-stick, fine, but we are going to whisk the sauce in the pan. So if you have a non-stick, or if you have a whisk that's a little bit maybe plastic or a Teflon so that it doesn't scratch the surface, or we're going to whisk it a little bit gently so that you can make this lovely lemon piccata sauce. Okay, so that's what we're going to need there. For our vegetables, we are going to need a baking dish. And we are going to set the oven to 375 degrees because we're going to start with the vegetables first. How we doing? We've got anybody coming on there with us, joining us? We'll start the vegetables. We'll set the oven now to 375 degrees. So I've got this lovely oven here. 375 degrees, get that ready to go and start. We'll preheat the oven while we're getting the vegetables ready. This is going to be very fast supper. You'll be surprised at how quickly these vegetables will cook, and as well how fast the chicken is going to cook for us. Most times we overcook the chicken. So today we'll actually have an opportunity to simmer it in this wonderful sauce of lemon and chicken broth. There we are. Okay, so I have a pan here. If you have a pan like this, a baking dish, get that out. This is what we're going to toss our vegetables into. And I have mine lined with a little bit of parchment. You can do that too. Certainly it helps from sticking, but we don't have too much issue with this particular dish tonight. Okay, so we'll start with a few of the vegetables and get those ready. And I have many vegetables. In fact, tonight we have some kale, and we're going to use about a cup of this. What we do with kale, you know, it's the harder, toughest, probably of some of the vegetables we have out there. The kale, we do find that it is a little bit hard to chew sometimes. In fact, it's not my favorite, but I have come to appreciate how to cook it better. I do now enjoy it much better. And of course, we know that kale, pretty much everything now, you know, it's considered a superfood. And what I was doing in the past that I didn't like was I was trying to chew down this rib. And so we're going to take this rib off, and we're going to use just the leaves. Now, I hope you've washed your vegetables in advance. We're just going to cut these down. See how I have this? And we're just going to tear them apart. And we're going to get about a cup. So, cup of kale. You don't have to be too perfect on the amount of vegetables that you're going to put in here. Certainly I don't. And I have to say, I got this recipe from a book that I've been working through, a keto green type of book. So this is keto compliant, if you will, lots of green vegetables. So I'm going to put this directly into my bowl. Toss all your vegetables in the bowl. So it's about a cup, bite-sized pieces. You know, it's really tough when I have vegetables or even lettuce, let's say, where it's you know, more than you can kind of get into your mouth, right? Bite-sized pieces, help your family get there. Broccoli florets. Hi, Bev from Riverview. So nice you could join. Hope you're enjoying this. You'll love this particular veggie bake. It's so easy to do. So just florets, and pretty easy. Just cut them down again, bite size, about a cup. Make sure you wash your vegetables. Hello, Maureen. Do I massage the kale? No, you know what? I have never heard of that. Wait, now, did I hear of that? I have heard something. There's no need to massage the kale, particularly for this dish. It's pretty straightforward. And with cooking and heat and moisture, the vegetables will automatically soften. Just their own natural inherent moisture that's in the cells. So you don't have to do any of that type of thing. I don't know where that comes from. Okay, so I've got, you know, a couple of cups of vegetables in here. Okay, so Brussels sprouts. Now, we had talked a little bit about, actually we posted that it was cruciferous, and why it is, I initially thought, oh, well, you know, there's a bit of a cross here, maybe that's what it is. But if you're actually to look it up, you'll see that the flower for all of these particular vegetables, the flower is in a cross. And so it sort of takes the form of a cross. So that's why they call them cruciferous. Now, it's interesting that those blooms or those blossoms tend to have, so some of the most power-packed vegetables that they produce that are the most nutritious. So I've got a few of these Brussels sprouts here. I'm just going to cut them. And what I want to do is try and make all those vegetables, again, the same size. So, you know, thin, thick, I want them to be the same size. If you'll notice, my broccoli and my Brussels sprouts are about the same size. So I don't want to belabor that too much, but let's get our vegetables cut and get those right into the oven. So move along on the vegetables, pretty straightforward. Hi, Marilyn. How are you? I hope you really enjoy it. Please don't forget to post your pictures. Love to see what you've created from this, and certainly any requests that you might like to have. This is one of my new favorite recipes that I did get from this regime that I'm following for keto. And I got to say, I love it. I can't say that I created it myself. No, didn't do that, but I certainly love this one. I hope the folks from the Keto Green community have come on. I certainly follow them. And oh, if you'll notice, I'm actually adding a little bit of radish to our dinner. I know I didn't put that up on the on there. Hello, Erica. How much of the Brussels sprouts? Well, Brussels sprouts, about a cup. So same thing for the Brussels sprouts as the kale, as the broccoli. So it's 1 cup, 1 cup, 1 cup. It's pretty straightforward in terms of what you're going to put in there. And then we'll get to that. So I've added a few radishes to mine because I have these. I don't want them to go off condition in my fridge. And they add a little extra color. So there we are. 1 cup of each. Excellent. Oh, yes, and cabbage. Now, same story here. I thought that the cabbage, you know, had the cross in it. This one made me think that. And interesting, like cabbage doesn't have a flower. So that's why I think this one has this cross. Okay, so I'll cut a bit into my cabbage here. I'm so pleased. The cabbage these days looks so great, and it's such a great part of this particular regime. Well, we can hack into this pretty good. Look at these beautiful leaves. So I want to take kind of part of this and just be able to create it. Now I'm going to take a moment and go and wash the inside and the outside of this. I'll be right back. And hopefully you can too. There we are. Look. So wonderful here. Marilyn, have a repeat there? Oh, hello, PEI. Gail Terry McDonald. Very popular name out that way. It's from Nova Scotia originally. Okay, so same story. About the same size, a cup of cabbage in here. Again, you don't have to be perfectly precise. I put those measurements just to give you a feel for what could go in there. So I have all of these vegetables. Okay, half a cup of butter, put in the microwave. That's what we're going to do. I've got half a cup, and in it goes into the microwave. We're going to melt it completely. This lovely little microwave they have down here hidden away. And we're going to take 30 seconds, have a look at that. In the meantime, AllSpice. So unusual. You will love this. I guarantee it. The first time I tried it, I went, AllSpice in my vegetables? Absolutely outstanding. Okay. 1 teaspoon of AllSpice. Get that ready while we're waiting for the butter. I've got some garlic. We're going to throw the garlic in and get your half a cup of almonds ready. We're going to put that together with it as well. Make sure your butter is fully melted. Another 20 seconds or so on mine. How are we doing on the, you've got garlic. If you have minced garlic, use that as well. Carolyn Pike, Victoria, welcome. Is your first time, Carolyn? Very nice. Hopefully you'll enjoy this keto friendly dinner. If you don't know, keto is not just about, you know, the sort of the old world Atkins diet. Actually about looking after your system. And this will, for those who are following keto, this falls right in line. Lots of vegetables, sort of the Canada Food Guide amount of protein, and intermittent fasting goes in there. Okay, so I've got 1 garlic. Put that in with the butter. Okay, and 3. Go ahead and cut up 3 garlic. 3 cloves of garlic. Excellent. Yep. That's what we're going to have. My hands are a little bit dirty here this evening, so hopefully, let's clean up a little bit while we're waiting. Crush this. So slice up your garlic. Take your time with your vegetables and the garlic. I don't need to lose a finger here. So I mentioned last week, so this week we had a conversation with our folks at the Brook Christmas at the studios. We are so pleased. We have finalized some of those preparations, and we will be showing at the Christmas at the studios on November the 28th. We will have Java Jack's preserves, line of preserves. So that's our Irish caramel sauce, the $1 Million Relish, the Chardonnay, the cranberry Chardonnay chutney will be there. We'll have some of our bakery items, have a new product coming up, and we'll be showcasing that. And the guys at the Postmasters, they'll have their baked goods. You will drool over some of those things. These folks are the best in terms of bakery items. I think that they're bringing some babkas, and those are outstanding, along with their famous cookies. Okay, so I got the garlic in with the butter, 1 teaspoon of AllSpice in here. We are going to mix that up. Pretty straightforward, mix it up. Look at that, how easy is that? Can you believe it? Butter. And, you know, while it seems like a lot of butter, we're going to put it over all those vegetables. Put that all over all of these vegetables that we just cut up. Look, how nice is that? Now you're going to toss those together, all of that together. Pretty straightforward, right? You can all do this. And smell it. Can you smell the AllSpice and the butter and the garlic? Now, how fabulous is that? Your family's going to love this one. Make sure that you get enough tossed so that all of your vegetables, my bowl is a little small, but make sure that all of your vegetables are coated with the butter. And that also helps in distributing heat, because butter, or the oil in the butter, will get hotter than the moisture that's in the vegetables. So actually cook them on the outside a little bit better and distribute heat so that they will cook evenly. So that's why I'm taking a moment to make sure that they're well tossed. You know, most chefs will toss the food around. I like to make sure that it's all well distributed and homogeneous for that cook. It's so important. We're going to add all of that into the dish here. Okay, and you know, any bits and pieces, scrape it in here. Make sure your pan and your vegetables are all sort of even and spread out. You will end up with about the same amount as you put in. Might be a little bit less. Some of the kale will get a little crispy. Oh, crispy kale is very, very nice. We will then toss on half a cup of these sliced almonds, sliced slivered almonds. It doesn't matter, whatever you have. If you have some pine nuts, try that too. Doesn't have to be. These are the type of dishes where you can freestyle a little bit. And then we're going to add just a little pinch of salt over the top, just like that, and a little pinch of pepper. Okay, now this goes in the oven. We're going to put that in for about 20 minutes. By the time that this is done, our chicken will be ready. Okay, off we go in here. I can't wait for you to try these. It's going to be excellent. Okay, so let's clean up just a smidge and get all of this stuff out of the way and get going. I'm sure that you never thought that you'd put AllSpice on your vegetables. So I hope you really like it. Certainly the first time I did was, you never heard of cooked radish before? Yeah, it is fabulous. I encourage you to try it. It's a new way to have it, lovely, crunchy, fresh flavor. It doesn't have a whole lot. But with the AllSpice on top of it, absolutely out of this world. So hopefully you can try that. It's like those usual vegetables. Try it in this dish, put them in the oven, you'll be surprised. Okay, so we'll get started on our chicken. So I have the chicken in the oven, in the fridge first, actually. Hopefully you do too. Now, it's boneless, skinless chicken breasts. And I have for them, I'm going to have, there's, a chicken breast for everybody. And we're going to extend that chicken breast just a little bit. Now, I hope that you can see me well enough. Let me see if I can tip my screen just a little bit more. So I have 4 chicken breasts here. Now, what we're going to do with the chicken breast is, because I want to cook them all evenly. If you notice, the chicken breast is not a uniform piece of meat. So what I want to do is I want to make it a uniform piece of meat so that all of it cooks the same. So what I'm do is I flip it over. I have a tender in here. So I'm going to throw that out. I'm going to not throw it out, but I'm going to move it to the side. I am going to split this chicken breast in half and essentially just take it from one side of the large piece. So the large side of the breast, this side, we're going to just slice it down, slice it out. The more that you're able to slice them in half, the better you're going to be able to sear these off and cook them evenly. So you should get 2 pieces out of every chicken breast. If you have nice large chicken breasts, certainly the ones at Costco are bigger than these little chicken guys I have, gals. But we're going to slice those all in half. So give me a second now. I'm going to slice this one also. You have a little chicken tender. You can pull that off. That makes also a very good part of this meal. But I want to make sure that I have enough chicken here. Sometimes it'll be called, butterflying, where you're going to make it out. And lots of times you'll hear to people pounding it out. You know what? If you take your time to cut them, you don't need to pound them out. And that sort of destroys the muscle structure there. So I usually don't bother to pound them out. Look, nice and thin. This one is beautifully even. And I have the same thin and thickness of this one. So I'll continue on for the 4. I've got a few folks coming for dinner, and they'll be hungry. So hopefully this is enough for our dinner tonight. And this I served on Monday night at our supper club, our in-person supper club. Oh, hi, Sherry. Welcome, St. John, New Brunswick. Thank you for joining. That's great. Hopefully you're enjoying this. And hopefully you'll enjoy the meal. Tell your friends if you do. Tell me if you don't. Now, in the meantime, we had this at Supper Club this week. Had a group of ladies who came for dinner, and we had a wonderful meal together. 5 courses. Of course, I got to choose what it was, but they enjoyed it immensely, and we did chicken piccata. So what are we going to do? I've got a little bit of my flour here. We're going to dredge it. That's the term, right? When you actually dunk it in a little bit of salt, pepper, and flour, the term is called dredging. Now, if you're on a keto diet, that may be not as easy. You don't have to dredge it if you don't want to. Just season. So I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of pepper to my flour. Very simple, right? 3-4 tablespoons of flour. I think that's what I put into the ingredients. We're just going to mix that together on a plate, and we're going to move everything over to the stove. Okay, off we go. So I've got everything over here, and I'll turn on my pan. I'm going to turn on this pan. Okay, doesn't want to turn on for me today. Let's see. All new gear, so yeah, always got to go through a little bit of a learning process. Okay, I'm going to turn it on. You see I've got it here on about 7, so about 3/4 heat. I like to start there. And we're going to put about 2 tablespoons of butter in the pan and about 2 tablespoons of oil in the pan. And you say, why are you using both? And it's funny because on Monday night, my general manager, her name's Mandy, outstanding cook, one of the best that we have certainly at Java Jack's and certainly in the community. And she said, you know, if you put the butter in and you add a little bit of oil, it doesn't smoke and your butter doesn't burn. So what it is the heat transfer, the oil itself has a higher smoking point. So it can get hotter and it'll allow your food to sear a lot better. So it'll be hotter, it'll sear faster, it'll give you a browner color. The butter is for the flavor. So you want to be able to have, you know, the flavor there. So I'm letting this melt. I want it to be very hot. In the meantime, let's take our chicken and our lovely chicken breasts, and we're going to dredge them. Okay, so put them off to the side, shake off all that flour. If you're following keto, don't worry about dredging. You can just put them in seasoned. My little chicken breasts, all thin, lovely. I want to make sure that I'm able to show you what they look like. Chicken breast last week was on sale here in the province, and this week it is not. So that's an interesting thing. We're going to let this heat up, get nice and hot. And look at that. See how it's distributing all around the pan? So I'm going to give that another little tap and see if I can move this a little bit hotter. It was a wonderful meal. We had some chicken piccata. It was a seafood gratine for the fish dish. Wonderful vegetable soup. The salad was outstanding. I was able to find some really wonderful salad vegetables. So, okay, so now how do you check it whether it's done or not? You know, it's whether it'll spit when you add water, but who wants to have that bounce? So I usually just check and see that it's all the oil and the butter is bubbling nicely together. Okay, wait another second or two, and voila, here we go. Okay. What is Supper Club? Oh, Supper Club, thanks for asking. Supper Club is a social culinary experience. So in the community right now, we are actually hosting 6 to 10 people who come and sit for an evening for dinner, and it's a 5-course chef's choice meal, and the chef presents the meal to you, and every course is one that you don't know, but it's absolutely delicious. Nothing too frou-frou, but we host it at our bed and breakfast in Rocky Harbour. And we're setting up to formalize that concept, and it'll happen here also at the Postmaster's house very soon. And you'll be able to find us at supperclubsnl.ca. And we will be posting some dates that we can have some in-person, instead of with groups of 6 to 10. So essentially, if we weren't in these times, we would have groups of 6 to 10. You could reserve a seat at the table. And you might know the people, you might not. And that's what makes it sort of interesting, is that you'll meet people. What you will share will be the same meal, and you'll get to know others or enjoy it with family and friends at dinner. So right now we're, if people are interested in doing a dinner like that, certainly give me a call and we can set up a date for your groups of 6 to 10. Might be an office party, could be family get together, a birthday. I'm just going to go wash my hands here now after handling the chicken. And so it could be, lots of different opportunities for a group of 6 to 10 people, the office party, to come together and enjoy a wonderful meal together. Now you can see here after about 3 minutes, I can talk through it. It should brown up lovely for you. This pan is nice and hot, so I'm going to just turn it down slightly. You don't want anything to burn. That's the last thing I want to have happen. But I do love how this is turning out. So you can flip them again after 3 minutes. Here's lovely thin chicken breast. So our Supper Club Live, the one we're doing right now, is a bit of an extension of that. I choose what it is now, and then hopefully you enjoy, what we have to offer. Through the course of the in-person, when you're actually in person and true social culinary experience, you get to ask all kinds of different questions, no different than here. A certified Red Seal chef or a Newfoundland chef that is, well steeped in the area can present these. You get to talk to somebody who is making your food. Okay, so you can see I'm sizzling up here. Another minute. Don't let it stick to the bottom. These guys are nicely. And then we're going to finish up the other one. And this becomes fairly straightforward. I don't think how are we doing on our veggies? Let's turn on the light here. Let's see what I can do. There we are. Okay, great. Thank you, Bonnie. Glad you could join us. Certainly take any requests. Okay, so I have now, that was a clean one. Make sure you got a clean bowl to put your finished chicken in. We are going to take it out of the pan, put it in a bowl off to the side, and then finish up the other couple of pieces of chicken. We are going to let this somewhat steep. At least I call it sort of steeping. Gee whiz. Okay, add a little bit more butter to your pan. You can see my pan's smoking up here. More butter, a little more oil to your pan. Okay. Now it's bubbling and hot. Your pan's going to be very hot. So let's turn it down just slightly. I find sometimes, working on a different stove that it's tough to control the heat, but that's an excuse, isn't it? So off we go. Here we go. And the last few pieces of your chicken in here. We are going to use this butter and the drippings that are on the bottom to make our sauce. So I don't want it to burn. I just want it to heat and cook my chicken so that the chicken is browned on the outside. And turn down that pan just a little bit. And now, if you fool it up, and we're getting to the point where I might dump this butter and oil. If you fool it up, we're going to take the oil and the butter out of the pan, and we're going to add new butter and oil so that you don't have those burnt bits. Still looking okay. So that's the remedy for when you get into trouble. And sometimes you do, right? So there's like this little bit of brown here. That one is fine on my chicken. I always like to assess each piece. Remember, we're making food for people to eat, so you want it to be lovely and delicious. It also needs to look good as well as taste good. So there we are. Now, it doesn't need much time because it's so hot. This element for me is really quite a hot element right now. So it needs to simmer down just a little bit. And it won't take long once it's heated up like that. These lovely little tenders don't take very long. We don't need to overcook them. And they're going to sit in some lemon juice for us. So I think 3/4 of a cup of lemon juice in the pan. Woohoo! Yeah, that's how it goes. What you're going to do is, this is called deglazing. And you're going to take the bits off the bottom of the pan, just like that. You're going to want it to bubble up a little bit. So that's the lemon juice that we put in there. Okay, lemon juice, and it gets the bits off the bottom. It's part of the goodness that we did while we fried the chicken and the, okay, look at this. This is all coming together really nicely. And there's nothing now sticking to the bottom of my pan, which is exactly what you want to have happen. About a cup of chicken stock. Okay, and typically you want it a little bit warm, but we're going to put that in there. Okay, now we're going to add capers. Capers. Okay, so what are capers? I have heard, and maybe I had that impression myself too, is that capers were fish, but they're not. Capers are, they are the little bud on a thorny, trailing shrub in the Mediterranean. So that's why it's often found to be in many of the Italian dishes. We're going to bring this up to a boil, and then we're going to put the chicken back in and let it simmer. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the capers in a minute. And look at the rich color that I have on my my sauce right now. I'm going to bring it up to a boil. So let's go, girl. And up to a boil. Put our chicken back in. And let it simmer in there. The capers, interestingly, are considered the bud, almost like a rose. And in, Italian circles, that's what they actually are. A little bit of a rose bud. Oh, wow, I can smell the combination of those. And so if you've never found a purpose for them, remember one lady on Monday nights or at our supper club, she said, I don't know what to do with them. Somebody said, I thought they were fish. No, it's actually a little plant. And again, in keeping with all of the things that we're talking about this evening, I mean, you can't have too many vegetables in your life. We're going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes. Maybe not that long. Let it cook the chicken so that the chicken is lovely and tender. So it's the lemon that we have in this sauce. Judy Murphy, hello, mommy. So nice for you to join tonight. So, okay, now we're done alone. Let it simmer. So don't let it get up too high in terms of boiling and simmering are two different things. Simmering is really lovely low bubbles. I'm going to turn this right down. And actually, I'm going to take it off the pan here a little bit so that this heat, I don't want all the aromatics to blow off. I love the flavor and the smell of lemon. So trying not to let this bubble up too much. There we go. It'll come down. The heat's taking a moment. And here we go. Okay, so we can get rid of all of the chicken pieces here. This is going to be very fast in terms of execution. Now I want to have, let's go back and have a little look at our vegetables because they should be getting close to done. We're going to let this simmer. I'm going to move it off to the side a little bit. I'll wipe down my stove, let this simmer. Let's have a little look at our vegetables in the oven. Found some oven mitts here, maybe. Here we go, yes. Oven mitts. Okay, so now you can see, oh, wow, that's pretty good. I'm going to leave them in for the same amount of time that they're simmering. And if you don't have a little bit of brown on the outside, then just jack up your temperature just a little bit, or put it on a little bit of convection. Oh, Margaret, hi. Great you could join us. It has to be great. Please make sure you ask for me. I'm not always on site, but certainly be great to know you're there. I can see myself on TV there. So, but yeah, it'd be great, Margaret, if you did come and say hello and have dinner, join us for dinner. I was saying about the convection in the oven. So if you want a little bit browner and you have the option, most ovens these days are made with convection. And what's actually happening there is air velocity is moving the heat around. It is, you know, if you use the terminology of some of the running cloves and things, right? It's wicking. It's actually drawing moisture away from your food. And so that'll brown it up faster. So that actual setting there can give you a lot more browning. Now, if you have convection bake on there, the heat is coming from the bottom and the top, and the velocity is happening to create that. So you're still getting heat from the bottom as if you were baking you doing a traditional conventional oven, but the baking is happening from the bottom. Air is blowing it around. If you're broiling with convection, because this particular oven has that setting, convection broil, the heat's coming from the top, and the heat's being dragged, moved around, and the air velocity is happening from the top, as opposed to mostly on the bottom on a bake. So that's sort of some of the differences. And you can use those techniques to actually change the color and the flavor of the food that you have in there. If you read some of the manuals, you'll see that they don't give you truly a lot of the details on what you can do with them. But they're really a wonderful feature to seal in the juices and create some wonderful colors, particularly if you're using sugars. Sugars together with meat or sugars together with protein will give you a lot more color. And so that's why sometimes we put different things on, let's say, the top of bread, so that it gives you that browning color. Velocity, air velocity in your oven will also give you that as well. So let's go back and have a little look at our chicken again. Ah, yes. Now, there we are. Looking good. So now we want to test and see that the chicken is ready, because it won't take long. Let me give this place a little bit of a wipe. Okay, it won't take long to cook this chicken breast, and we don't want to overcook them. So really all we're going to do now is create this lovely sauce. So I'm going to get a plate, take my chicken out of it. Actually, I'm going to put my chicken on this dish so that I don't have to worry about it being cold. So let's have a little look. I'm going to test it here. Oh, I can already tell. There is a little technique that without a thermometer, you can test whether your chicken is done. You know what? I'm going to let it sit there and simmer. It's not going to cook too hot. But I want to talk to you about kind of how you know it's cooked. And I think I did this one time before. And the chefs call it the palm test. So, regular palm here is nice and soft, and that would be considered raw. If you put your fingers together, you know how this sort of tightens up. Well, when you're cooking meat, it will actually get firm. And so it'll get firm to this. So this might be medium cook. If you go here, you can see it tightens up again. This might be medium well. And this would be well done. And so you can feel the firmness. And so if you touch your meat and have a look at how you touch your meat, then you can see sometimes, more often, it has a lot of spring in it. It doesn't depress. You don't depress it, and it hasn't give you any give. Most of the meat will give you a little bit of spring back when it's done. So my meat here, all of them have that doneness for me. I don't want them overcooked. We have this thing about meat, or particularly chicken or pork, where we think that it has to be all overcooked. Oh, wow. Look at this lovely sauce. I can't believe how beautiful this sauce looks. Okay. I'm going to turn off my heat because right now we are going to add the butter sauce that goes with this. I'm going to let this sit for about 2 minutes while I go and take the vegetables out of the oven because we're getting ready to plate. And you know what? We haven't been together for a full hour, but you're going to have dinner much faster tonight. They're going to go, wow, that's a fast meal. And I hope that you will like it. Let me move this out of the way. And I will get this up. I'm going to take our veggies out of the oven. I'm looking for something to put this on. Here we go. I have this wonderful red board that I found. Yes, please take some pictures. I'd love to know how your dinner turned out, your supper. My vegetables look outstanding. I hope yours do too. And if you add a little radish, look at the little red color that we have in there. It looks great. So I'm so pleased with that. I have a little serving spoon over here that I'm going to use. My vegetables are lovely and tender. I guarantee you this mixture with the almonds, the butter, all of these vegetables that if you were to eat them raw, you kind of go, eek, yuck. You eat these like this, they'd be outstanding. So I have the veggies ready to go. Now let's come back to our pan of sauce. And okay, let me get this going again. Come on. Oh, it just wants to tell me it's hot. So there we go. Pick it up and have it a little warm. Now, we're going to take some butter, about 2 tablespoons of butter to start with. The concept is emulsion. And so we are going to make an emulsion. And in order for that to happen, we're going to distribute fat and we're going to whisk it. And that fat, when you use a whisk, will distribute into billions of little fat molecules. A whisk does a great job of that. We're going to whisk in 2 tablespoons. We're going to take 2 more tablespoons. I think I had said, 3/4 of a cup. We might not use the whole 3/4 of a cup, but you're going to whisk in this beautiful butter. It's going to give you this silky, lovely sauce. I can't wait for you to try. This is so easy. You can do it for everything. This sauce, this type of sauce, can be used for putting it on asparagus, put it on your steak, have it on seafood. It is so versatile. So 2 more tablespoons, whisk that in, and it says whisk in vigorously. Whisk vigorously. If I was, Julia Child, whisk vigorously. Here you are. So all of this butter. Yes, I know it's butter. And I have not tried it with a margarine. I do believe scientifically that the concept would work. So, okay, I'm going to take it off the heat now because I want the butter to melt, but I don't want it to get too hot that it won't go to an emulsion for me. Okay, whisk, whisk, whisk. Okay, and it's supposed to create you this lovely emulsion sauce. How are you doing? I'm sure, Bev, you've got it emulsified pretty good by now. Okay, there we are. Yeah, and it takes that much butter. Well, and why not? Butter is good with everything. Okay, all of that butter whisked it in. And you can see that the butter is not, the butter is not coming out of suspension. It is staying inside the sauce. So I've got this lovely sauce. Now it's time for us to taste it. We're going to add salt and pepper if we need to. I'm going to move move it over here. I think it looks pretty good. I put my salt and peppers over here. So here we are. Keep at it. It says whisk. I'm going to whisk a little bit more. I want it a little bit thicker, and it'll come together beautifully. So you don't see any of that butter, any of those butter globules in there. Yes, I'm sure it is, Bev. I can't wait one of those days you and I are going to cook together. A little salt. Taste your food. Oh, wow. Oh, that is very nice. A little pepper throw in there. A little extra salt. So season up your food. Make sure you taste it. Hello, Suzanne. Thank you for joining, Boston. And it looks great. This sauce does. Okay, so my tongs disappeared. Got my chicken. Now, let's plate it up. I've got this big serving of vegetables. So fabulous. Look at that. Couple of chicken breasts. And you have yourself an amazing meal. Just drizzle that all over it. It looks so good. Oh. Now, how about that? Please send me any questions after our Supper Club Live. This is what I'm serving for dinner. It looks absolutely outstanding. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate that you have joined us this evening, and I hope you enjoy it. Till next week, I'm Colleen Hiscock. Bon appetit.